I Am a Virus. Foreword. On the night of February 6, 2020, the 14th day of Wuhan's lockdown, I was confined at home when I read on the official Weibo account of the Global Times that Dr. Li Wenliang, the whistleblower doctor, had passed away at around 10 p.m. in Wuhan Central Hospital. With tears in my eyes, I reposted the news, adding 3 words, "I am sorry." Apart from shock and grief, my first instinct was to apologize. While online reactions quickly flooded in with calls for accountability, lamenting they owe Dr. Li an apology, and we owe him our thanks, I believed the entire Chinese population owed him an apology. Because it wasn't just the authorities, it was all of us who, through our passive acceptance, tolerance, and even admiration for a deeply flawed system, allowed this tragedy to happen. Dr. Li was only 34 years old. He left behind a son, a pregnant wife, and parents who were also infected and undergoing treatment. This tragedy, this profound injustice, pierced my heart like an ice-cold blade, leaving me devastated and deeply ashamed to be a member of this society. Dr. Li's final Weibo post read, "The nucleic acid test result came back positive. The dust has settled. I am finally diagnosed." That was on February 1st, and it became his last post. How could someone his age, with presumably strong immunity, die within just 5 days? Weren't we told that younger patients had higher recovery rates? How could a doctor, with access to more resources and timely care, succumb so quickly? I couldn't help but suspect that Dr. Li might have been misled during his treatment, possibly because of the government's desire to avoid further shame by downplaying his case. If this were true, Dr. Li wasn't just a victim of the virus, he was a victim of calculated neglect. Knowing the government's propensity to protect the greater good, I don't feel my suspicions are overly cynical. After all, this regime has committed far darker acts to maintain control in the past, and I have no doubt it would do so again. Soon enough, their actions confirmed my fears. Roughly an hour after Global Times reported Dr. Li's death, the news was retracted. Why, weren't they confident in their own sources? Wasn't this the official media? Naturally, I hoped the retraction meant he was still alive, that it was a mistake, that perhaps a miracle might happen. I anxiously searched for updates and saw a post by another doctor at Wuhan Central Hospital saying, "He's still in critical condition. Pray for him." However, the accompanying comment read, "He's hanging between life and death," which reignited my anger. Knowing the nature of this regime, I almost expected that they were withholding the truth about his death to avoid backlash. My suspicions soon seemed justified when leaked messages began circulating from hospital staff, indicating that Dr. Li had likely passed much earlier, yet was kept on life support to stage a valiant attempt at saving him. Sitting on my couch, I broke down completely. After calming myself with a considerable amount of whiskey, I resolved that I needed to take action. Why could I foresee their behavior so clearly? Why did I understand them so intimately? Because this regime's brutality and cynicism have left a mark on me, on all of us. And that night, I was struck with an undeniable realization. Dr. Li didn't just die from a virus. It was our silence, our complicity in sustaining this diseased environment that took his life. When this epidemic eventually subsides, I am certain there will be a performative reckoning, a few scapegoats for our anger, and then the usual scripted return to normalcy. We will be urged to move on, to forget, and we will. Most will rush back to their previous lives, to the pursuit of wealth and comfort, feeling content with superficial justice served. But in truth, each of us remains at risk, each one a potential sacrifice at the mercy of an indifferent system. Few will believe it, but the reality remains. The internet was quick to call for a memorial for Dr. Li, but I am almost certain that, like most things, it will fade away. Building a memorial requires courage and unyielding resolve, traits most lack, including myself. While we passively await and inevitably forget, they, the regime, never stop acting. As proof, a leaked directive swiftly circulated, instructing media outlets on how to downplay Dr. Li's death and control the narrative. This is why I am not surprised. As a citizen of Wuhan, deeply grieved by this disaster, I am determined to expose the Chinese virus that resides within us, a virus of thought, rooted in this very culture. And I intend to be a whistleblower against it. Through this book, titled I Am the Virus, I seek to shed light on these traits, to confront the sickness within, and to explore ways to eradicate it. There's a saying, to save one person is to save the whole world. I believe that person we must save first is ourselves. Only by self-rescue do we become worthy of rescue by others. February 10, 2020 in Wuhan.